afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Hope everybody had a nice, relaxing weekend. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo's virtual meeting, featuring our annual Foundation Day and the difference your donations have made in our community. And now I'd like to ask Father O to deliver a reflection and Greg Fest to lead us as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
In the Christian scriptures, there is only one story told of a final judgment when God judges all the people of the earth. And the criteria for this judgment are, did you or did you not feed me when I was hungry, clothe me when I was naked, shelter me when I was homeless, give me drink when I was thirsty, comfort me when I was imprisoned. And so we pray. Lord God and Father of us all, we Rotarians today bow our heads in prayerful gratitude for all the blessings you have lavished on each and every one of us. We thank you too, that you have so touched our hearts as to desire to share our blessings with our less fortunate brothers and sisters. We are grateful that we have the opportunity to share our blessings through the work of the foundation of the Rotary Club of Toledo. We give sometimes small, sometimes large gifts to the foundation, and together we have much to give to others. We believe that we are more blessed in giving than in receiving, and we ask your fatherly blessing on all those to whom we have offered a helping hand through our foundation. With you and with one another, may we continue to do the charitable works you desire of us. To this prayer we say, Amen.
Amen.
I say the Pledge of Allegiance the way I learned it at Elm Street Elementary School all those many years ago in Perrysburg, Ohio. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Father O, and thank you, Greg. As we begin our meeting, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Rehmann as our December weekly meeting sponsor. Thank you, Rotarian Brian Kennedy. A couple of quick updates. I'd like to congratulate Travis Tangerman, who will serve as our first vice president beginning July 1st, 2021. Also, I'd like to congratulate director nominees Donna Bogan, Heather Carnes, Steve Miller, and Pat Sheehan. I'd like to thank all the Rotarians who rang the bell on Saturday at Walt Churchill's Market in Perrysburg for the Salvation Army. I actually did the shift from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., and it was great. It was great to get out and share some holiday cheer. Perhaps Kelly Trame, chairman of our Community Service Committee, would like to say a few words about the success of the event.
And hi, Toledo Rotary. I am thrilled with the turnout that we had for our Rotary bell ringing. I know Salvation Army was so happy that we were able to take part and help out. Some of the things I was hearing from folks that showed up to ring the bell is that people were in a giving spirit, they were in the mood, and while I do not have the totals yet, I checked with Salvation Army this morning and they don't have the totals of how much we raised. I'm having a great sense that we were successful in being able to help those that were less fortunate in our community. So thank you very much. And a quick plug to come in to our community service meeting today at 1 as we work on our next community service project. Thanks, President Alex.
Thank you, Kelly. It was a great success. That kettle was packed full of cash. Also, I would like to thank all those who did participate and continued a fantastic tradition for our club. And now, I'll turn the program over to Mary Mancini, our Toledo Rotary Foundation Chair, who will begin the presentation from our foundation. Mary?
Good afternoon and welcome to our annual Toledo Rotary Foundation Day celebration. The 2020-21 foundation officers and trustees should be pictured on your screen. There they are. Please know that as officers and trustees, we all feel very privileged to serve and take seriously the oversight we provide for the foundation. Today, we celebrate the time, talent, and treasure of the Toledo Rotary Foundation has provided to our community. Annually, countless hours are spent by Toledo Rotary members researching the ever-increasing number of grant requests and deciding the funding that is necessary. In addition, many volunteer hours are spent advising and providing hands-on work in support of community organizations. And last but far from least, we celebrate the financial contributions of our members whose gifts, combined with bequests from those that have gone before us, has allowed the Toledo Rotary Foundation to contribute over $200,000 each year to our community. Truly, this is a time for celebration, but it is also a time for reflection on our responsibility as Rotarians to continue this rich tradition of giving into our second century of service above self. And now for a breakdown of the financials of the foundation, we'll hear from Mike McIntyre, Secretary Treasurer.
Thank you, Mary. Really appreciate your leadership as part of the Toledo Rotary Foundation, and everybody as part of that committee. Just really appreciate your support. So it's my pleasure to share with you the financials of the Toledo Rotary Club. As a reminder, the foundation is the 501c3 that operates separately from the Toledo Rotary Club. So donations and payments coming out go into the club, and that's into the foundation rather, which is the 501c3. As you probably recall, a couple years ago, the Toledo Rotary Club Foundation partnered with Greater Toledo Community Foundation, and we transferred all the funds to them. They now reside at Toledo Community Foundation as a donor advised fund. What you're seeing here on the screen are two columns, with the left column representing the highlights from the Toledo Rotary Club Foundation. That's part of our income statement. In the right column is a summary of the annual accounting of the funds at the Toledo Community Foundation. The left side, first you'll look at the member donations for the year ending 6/3/2020, so that was the last day of the year. They were at $183,132 that came directly into the Rotary Foundation. We had income from book sales, $1,600. There are two perpetual trusts the club receives income from. They are from two very generous former Toledo Rotarians. The distributions are from trusts valued at, the distributions from the trust are valued at $19,928. And we're also reflecting a change in the market value of the trust of a negative $34,202. In that same column, if we look at the expenses, we do show a transfer to the Greater Toledo Community Foundation of $203,026. We also have foundation management and general and fundraising expenses of $12,237. So the overall foundation experienced a net loss of within the last Rotary year of $41,920. If we look on the other side, we've got the donor advised funds. And again, this is funds that we advise Greater Toledo Community Foundation, but they are under their control. Member donations of $276,000 $449. Now you might note that this is different than the $203,026 transferred out of the club, and there's two reasons for this. One, simply timing. Donations that come in towards the end of the year may not be posted and transferred until the following of the year. That's one. And additionally, some contributions from the Toledo Rotary Club members go directly into the account at their Greater Toledo Community Foundation. They don't touch the club at all. They go right into our account at Greater Toledo Community Foundation. And that's reflected because some members do have donor advised funds already at Greater Toledo Community Foundation, and they make the transfer over. So really the effect of our impact for the community and for this year is really the $276,449. Going further down, interest and dividends on funds managed at Greater Toledo Community Foundation totaled $98,359. Realized and unrealized gains are $22,123. Totaling this up, we have total income of $396,931. The expenses, grants dispersed to charities, $193,698. This is where our club is making an impact in the community. This is where each of our service committees are recommending, and the foundation, the FAC is approving them, $193,000. Other expenses, general management and fundraising expenses of $88,681. And the overall donor advised funds demonstrated a gain of $114,552. These are just highlights of the two different accounting. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about either of these two charts, but why don't we save any questions for the end of the Rotary presentations, and we'll take it at that time. Okay?
Brian Kennedy is going to talk a little bit about what we're going to be seeing in a few minutes.
Thank you, Mike and Mary. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing the video that Phil Marissy, fellow Rotarian and Allied Media, put together for us. During the past fiscal year, we had 27 approved grants, and the Trustees Executive Committee had the difficult task trying to narrow that down. We chose 4 of the grant recipients, and Phil was kind enough to do some interviews and prepare a video for us. So Kevin, if you wouldn't mind.
It's been a year most of us want to forget.
Eddie Van Halen was 65.
For the Toledo Rotary Foundation, our work continues.
Rotary. Toledo wouldn't be the same without the support of Rotary of Toledo.
Our work continues to the tune of $203,000 given to 27 worthy causes.
For us, as a 100% grant funded or donation funded program, really, makes the difference whether we can continue or to grow.
That's Lori Legender, Program Director of Reach Out and Read.
Reach Out and Read is a national pediatric literacy program, and our goals are to promote sharing books at home between parents and children, so that not only do kids arrive at school better prepared to learn, but they've developed a lot of good relational skills with their family.
Our own Dr. Libby Rupert brought the program to Toledo.
Dr. Elizabeth Rupert was the president of the Ohio American Academy of Pediatrics. So she was kind of tasked with spreading Reach Out and Read throughout Ohio, and with Toledo being her home city, she started the first local site at the Rupert Center, the pediatric practice that she was part of at that time. We serve about 14,000 children a year, kids birth to 5 and their families. We estimate that about 70 to 75% of those families would be considered to be at risk for not having books at home, either because of financial issues or parent literacy skills and that kind of thing.
Your foundation granted $6,400 to Reach Out and Read. It's not just for the books.
Sometimes we will have special initiatives where we focus on a health topic, and the book then is just extra reinforcement not only for the doctor to talk about that theme, but also for parents and kids to keep learning when they get home to reinforce the good things the doctor is trying to get them to do for their kids' health.
Mobile Meals' mission is to feed those in our community that can't get out or can't necessarily feed themselves. We want to provide that good nutrition so they can stay in their own homes and be safe and receive those meals and live their life in their own surroundings.
And that's Carolyn Fox with Mobile Meals of Toledo. 2020 has been a challenge.
There was a huge influx of clients at the beginning of the pandemic. We partnered and collaborated with a lot of other organizations to get meals out there. We had about another 250 clients on the onset of this. A lot of that was funded by federal grants that have now expired. So we are still see an increase in the number of meals that we are serving, though, in the community.
Your Rotary Foundation granted Mobile Meals $10,000 to help replace an aging refrigerated delivery van. COVID-19 made this existing need an urgent need.
A lot of them are clients that are really compromised with their health, so they should not be out in the community right now. Some of them went to congregate sites to get their meals, and they're all currently closed. So we are delivering to those people that can't get to the congregate sites because they're not open or can't go out to the grocery store, should not be out at the grocery store. And a lot of them just can't prepare meals. Some of them are ill, some of them are recuperating from a hospital visit, all kinds of different reasons.
Healthy Lot serves a similar purpose. Here's Toledo Rotarian Tim Menke.
We started it 2 years ago with a survey to our people that we serve, finding that most of them eat poorly. They make poor health choices, so we've tried to think of a program that can help them live a healthier life. And we find that they don't shop the way that they should shop, so we educate them on how to grocery shop, things that you should eat, shouldn't eat, because typically adults with developmental disabilities have higher levels of diabetes, they have higher blood sugars, the overall health spectrum isn't the best, so we thought we should create a program to do what we can to help improve it.
Lot Industries provides job opportunities to adults who face barriers to employment. And at Lot Industries, employment is up.
If you can hear in the background, business is up quite a bit. We're very busy at Lot Industries. I'd say 25-30% growth compared to the previous year. Because of COVID, a lot of businesses, actually the chemical industry, packaging industry, to help with like Amazon distribution, all of our industries are up quite a bit. So our business is up quite a bit, which has been a blessing because we have now opportunity to offer more work to more people.
Your foundation provided $5,000 for exercise equipment and healthy living classes through the Healthy Lot program.
We are constantly hiring, so we're always in need of people to work for assembly, kitting type operations. The good thing about Lot is we retain our employees, so when we do find good people, we keep them.
Yeah, we got a few men clothes from Rotary, and yeah, we want to use the clothes for men with their suit coats up there, suits. We want to aid and assist them in areas where they may have a job interview, but they're afraid they don't look the part.
And that's Pastor Cedric Brock of Mount Nebo Baptist Church. They operate a closet for men and women who need help with clothing.
We fixed a room upstairs where we have the actual closet, which looks over the church. It's beautiful scene to be able to look at the church down from the room where we have the clothes. Dresses for women, we have shirts for men, we have suit coats for men, we have shoes for women, we have socks, we have the whole 9 yards.
We granted Mount Nebo $10,000 to upgrade the space and put it to good use. Pastor Brock sees it as an opportunity to move the community towards empowerment.
We're excited to be able to aid and partner and help this community. This is our community. We want to see these individuals apply for jobs in the marketplace of Toledo. So, and they won't just apply, but they'll look the part. If they look the part on the outside, in their minds, they can get it, and they'll be able to go forward.
Rotary Club of Toledo was founded in 1912. The origin of our club foundation dates to 1915. In that time, we have survived 2 world wars and Spanish influenza. We've been through the Great Depression, Vietnam, Watergate, and the Great Recession. While that was going on, mankind developed the microchip, We've walked on the surface of the moon and sent spacecraft beyond the boundary of our solar system. We found a cure for polio, and Rotarians around the world are this close to wiping polio from the face of the earth. We are Toledo Rotarians, and we'll survive 2020. And with your continued and sustaining support, your Toledo Rotary Foundation will fund another grant cycle. It's what Toledo Rotarians do.
Thank you, Phil. I do appreciate you and Allied Media having prepared this video for us. Rotarians, at this point, I would like to point you to our next slide, which is our approved grants during the past fiscal year. As I mentioned previously, we had 27 grants that made up the total of $203,000, with an average of about $7,500 for those 27 recipients. But this is the good work, as we've mentioned previously, what is being done in our community based on the committees that we have on hand. At this time, I would like to bring Mary back to finish our reporting.
Thanks, Brian. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Legacy League. The Legacy League of the Toledo Rotary Foundation was established in 2015 to recognize those members who have made a planned gift to Toledo Rotary in their estate plans. We thank those members listed on the screen and encourage others to also join the Legacy League. Our foundation has been the recipient of planned gifts from our members for many years. Arthur E. Bacon, who died in 1953, Walter H. Christian, 1977, George W. Ritter, 1979, Kenneth E. Tigas, 1999, and most recently Thomas A. Klein in September of this year, are members whose gifts have already been realized. Tom Klein was very active in Toledo Rotary, at one time serving as interim executive director. He joined Rotary in 1989, had perfect attendance since 1993, and was both a Paul Harris Fellow and a member of the President's Club. Tom was a professor emeritus of marketing at the University of Toledo, a friend to many of us in the club and throughout the community, and a true believer in the Rotary motto, "He profits most who serves best." George Eistetter has some fond memories of Tom, but before we go to the video, I would also like to thank Phil Marcy from Allied Media for the time, effort, and always, as always, the creativity he puts into our video presentations. Phil, thank you so much. And truly, we couldn't have done it without you this year.
One time, a couple years ago, they invited us to their home for dinner. And they were going to cook steaks on the grill. And it turns out the grill wasn't all in one piece. And there were parts falling off and missing. And it was a disaster. And they gave us our steaks to take home and cook sometime when we got home. And I've never let him forget that. Tom was a very steady, quiet influence on people's lives. And there's even some things about him that I didn't even know until I read his obits. His nature was to be quiet about those sort of things. But I knew he was involved, and I knew he took it seriously, as we have. And he didn't like to promote or trumpet anything. He was just content with being in the background and leaving it go at that. The first to do anything really should always make an impression upon not only those who have followed, but hopefully those other Rotarians that we hope will hop on the bus. You know, we need more participation from those that can in Rotary. The amount doesn't matter. It's just a matter of being on the bus. When you do your estate planning, keep the club in mind. It's as simple as that.
Thanks so much, George. Let's all hop on the bus, okay? Next, I'd like to introduce Tom Backoff, past president of the club and past foundation chair, who's going to speak to us today about his role as being in charge of the annual fund for this year. I know Tom has an important message for us, and I think it will remind us of what I said earlier, how we must reflect on how we can keep this fabulous, wonderful foundation going. Tom, if you'd like to say a few words, please.
Thank you, Mary. Mary, Mike, Brian, what a wonderful presentation today. Thank you so much for all of the information you provided to us and your leadership. And I also want to join Mary in thanking Phil Marissy, does a terrific job each year with our videos, really brings the message home. And I've got to say a big thank you to Kevin Mullen, the voice of Toledo Rotary. I felt reassured today just listening to the tone in Kevin's voice, knowing that there are better days to come for our community and for our club. So thank you so much for all you do. Rotarians, I think what I want to share with you today is just a sense of how unique what we do is. There are, of course, 1 million Rotarians worldwide who believe the same values of service above self, and they're committed to their communities. We're not exceptional in that at all. What makes us unique is the Toledo Rotary Club Foundation. We're the only club in the world that operates a foundation advisory committee system that has 7 committees that do the due diligence to grant the funds that we do, and we do it consistently year after year, $200,000 over the last 5 Rotary years. We've given $1 million in our community and around the world. That's unique. It's the Toledo Rotary Club Foundation that makes the Toledo Rotary Club relevant. It's been an interesting year for us, of course. And rather than share my screen, I'm going to share with you a little old technology. I've got a clipboard here that I'm going to hold up that explains what our challenge is. The video that you saw that Phil produced certainly explained the need. Our partners at the Greater Toledo Community Foundation tell us that it is likely that nonprofits in Ohio are going to be facing a revenue shortfall next year as much as 60%. So the need is great. In order for us to meet the needs and continue with our traditional funding activities, your annual gifts to the foundation are crucial in the amount of money that we give. So the annual gifts comprise half of the funds that we're able to budget each year. The other half comes from our endowment, over $3 million. That endowment has grown since our inception. But as you can see, last year, primarily due to the pandemic, we had a decrease in giving of over 43%. And so if you look at the average, next year, we are only going to be able to contribute about $190,000 back to the community. We can't allow this trend to continue. So we have a challenge. We have to increase our giving this year. We want to go from $58,981 to $80,000. If we accomplish that goal, you can see we go from a decrease in our 3-year average to start building it back up where it needs to be. And unfortunately, as you can see, 17-18, we gave $120,000 to our annual campaign. That number's coming off the list. So unfortunately, next year, we're not likely to give the same amount that we're giving this year. We've got to get the trend going back the right way. The challenge, of course, is that there are fewer of us this year. Last year, we had 417 members. 63% of the membership gave. So we had 267 members giving. This year, our club membership is 330 members, and we're going to have 100% participation this year. So if we do the math with the $80,000 goal that we have, we need to average $242 per member this year for our annual campaign. So we're encouraging you to become a member of the President's Club this year, $250. You might be asking, how the heck am I going to do that? Well, it occurs to me that, like so many of us during the pandemic, we've been saving money in other ways. One of the ways, of course, we as Rotarians have been saving a little money is we're not paying for lunches. So you're saving $15 a week, not paying for a lunch at Rotary. I'd like to commit to you that maybe you could take that $15, it's likely we're not going to meet in the next 10 to 12 weeks, and put that to your foundation gift. If you do that 16 times between now and the end of the Rotary year, you'll hit $250. So Rotarians, I hope you'll join me. Make that contribution of your lunch back to the Toledo Rotary Foundation. Rotarians, I have a story to share with you. It's a personal story, and it's a bit of apology. I was supposed to introduce the annual campaign 2 weeks ago. And unfortunately, on November the 21st, I started feeling symptoms of COVID-19. When I woke up on November 22nd, I could not get out of bed. My fever had spiked to 102 degrees. I was lightheaded and dizzy. I couldn't stand. I spent my day that Sunday preparing what I hoped would be a talk the next day to all of you. And unfortunately, when I got up Monday morning, I knew I couldn't do it. So I finished up the letter that you all received in the mail. I notified Kathy and President-elect Bob that I wouldn't be on the Zoom meeting. Called my doctor, and by Tuesday, my wife, Kate, was having symptoms of COVID-19. And on Wednesday, the 25th, we went and got tested, and we've tested positive. So we have spent the last 2 weeks isolating at home. This is my first day back to work. I've spent a lot of time lying awake at night thinking about many, many things that I am grateful for. Of course, my family, my beautiful, wonderful wife, Kate. But I've also thought countless hours about how grateful I am for the friendships and the relationships that I've formed with all of you. And I've thought, what is it that we can do as Rotarians, and what can my friends, the most talented people that I know, that are blessed with that time and talent and treasure, you're the best and the brightest this community has to offer. What can we do going forward to help this community in such a terrible time of need? And one of it, of course, is our treasure. We need to give to our foundation so we can get prepared. But we also have a great deal of experience that we can share, that we've learned from Rotary International, that we've learned from our district, and we've learned from Toledo Rotarians. Rotarians, nobody better than us knows how to administer a vaccine. This picture that you see right here, that golden arrow pointing down, that's past President Joe Tafalski on a Rotary vaccine mission in India. Rotarians, I don't know anything about administering vaccines, but I do know there are 428,000 residents of Lucas County. The experts tell us that we're going to need to vaccinate 70% of our population in order to return our whole way of life back to normal. So that means in Lucas County alone, there are 300,000 people that'll need a vaccination. I can't imagine those people are going to be all able to go to a Walmart or a CVS or a testing site or a vaccine location to get tested. I think we're going to have to volunteer to help. And we're going to go door to door with healthcare providers in order to educate people about the vaccine and in order to administer the vaccine. And who better to lead that charge than our club? So I'm excited about what the future is going to hold going forward. And I think as we consider this and start to think about what our role is, I want you to take your arms right now and I want you to stretch them out as wide as you can. Because Rotarians, that's how far we are from vaccinating people in Lucas County today. We are that far. But I'm optimistic that a year from now, the first Monday of December of 2021, when President Bob DiNardo is presenting this presentation and we're learning about what we've done, we're going to have our hands up like this, Buckeyes. It's OHIO. We are this close to vaccinating 300,000 Lucas County residents. And 2 years from now, I'm sure when President Cindy Binkley, who's going to be president of our club when it celebrates its 110th anniversary, we're going to be this close to vaccinating 300,000 residents of Lucas County. And we're going to lead through experience of people like past President Joe Tefalski and past President Tim Ryan, whose experience on these vaccination Rotary trips is going to help immensely. We need to be getting in touch with the health professionals in the Lucas County Health Department to leverage the experience that Rotary has, leverage our resources and our foundation, and make this happen. And I know we can do it. We're going to do it exactly the way the founders of our club did it, the people that came before us. We're going to accept the challenge. We're going to step up. We're going to do what needs to get done. And I am so, so very proud of all of you, the work that you do. It makes me emotional at times to think about it. So join me, pitch in, make your donation to our annual campaign. It's $80,000 that we need to raise, and know the service that you're providing is extremely important. Rotarians, you're members of one of the finest Rotary clubs in the world. You're the best and the brightest.
Fabulous as always, Mr. Tom. Thank you so much. And I'm a little emotional myself. Thank you so much for what you do all the time for Rotary and have done. And thank you to all our members. We are more than happy as foundation trustees to answer any questions that you might have. And we would also like input. The idea about vaccinating is just wonderful, wonderful. So I'm going to say, perhaps Kevin, do you have questions from people that any of us might be able to answer?
Yeah, so per usual, if people have questions, you can raise your hand in the participation window. You can attempt to raise your hand in the Zoom window, and I'll do the best I can to see them. Or you can type your question into chat. I'm going to bring Mike McIntyre in because a question did come in through chat. I think he's got a couple of them as well. He did type the answer into chat, but for folks that may not have seen that, there was a question about the expenses. And so, Mike, I'll give you a chance to just kind of reiterate your answer to folks. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Kevin. Right. So the question was, what is it about the Greater Toledo Community Foundation that they would have administrative expenses as much as like $88,000? And I did explain it in the chat, and I'll explain it here too. So the fees that the Greater Toledo Community Foundation charges to the club is actually around $26,665. So that's those are their admin fees for investing those funds. And then the bigger number that wasn't detailed on the screen is a number of just a little over $60,000. And there has been an agreement for a number of years now that the foundation pays back to the club for our administrative fees, for maintaining the office and the various expenses that the office at the Toledo Rotary Club has. Those are reimbursed from the foundation, and the amount that it's presently pegged at is $60,007, which again is to reimburse the club for their expenses to maintain the operations of the club, and very specifically for the activities that are for the benefit of the foundation. So that is the cost of maintaining meetings, the percentage of time of Kathy and other administrative staff to focus on the grants, the funding of those grants and those activities. So that's the lion's share of it. Again, that number 60,000 out of the 88,000, and the rest that Toledo Community Foundation charges us is a very fair number, less than 100 basis points. So hopefully that answers it.
Excellent, Mike. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Again, I do not see any other questions in the chat. Cindy Kerr did ask for a link to donate to be put into the chat, so I'll grab that from the web and I'll post that into the chat as well. And I'm sure, Cindy, we can get an email out to everybody. I'm sure it's in the spoke with a link for you to be able to donate to the foundation as well. Mary, Mike, any advice for folks that want to make a donation? What's the easiest way for that to happen?
My guess is that it would be to go to the website. Kathy Tate can probably pick up on that.
Yeah, honestly, that is the easiest thing to do. If you go to the ToledoRotary.org, and then in the upper right, there's a button that says donate. It'll take you directly to another page, of course, where I think you have to hit the word donate again. And then there's several options. As past President Tom mentioned, President's Club level at $250 is the very first item that you'll see on there. And then as you scroll down, you have other options. You can certainly give more than that, but those options are pretty clear. I've tested it. Thank you, whoever's doing this on the screen, Kevin or Travis. But yeah, it's pretty easy. It all works very well. And then you'll have the option to receive a receipt right away. Thank you. That's where you can plug in any amount that you want, over and above $250, less than $250, whatever. And it'll all go directly to the annual fund, and we'll be clear on that. And if there's any specifics, I think there's a place for a notation in there if you wanted to send me a note. You all have my email address.
I just got to make sure I don't hit submit on that.
I hope not.
Where I left it.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for going to the website to point that out. It is very simple to do this.
I realized I attempted to post the link in the chat, and I think I sent it just directly to Cindy Kerr, so I'll share that out to everybody as well. It's just ToledoRotary.org/donate.
Right, thank you.
At this time, I do not see any questions in the chat. I think you guys covered it all in the program. Oh, George Eidstetter has a question. All right, George, if you want to unmute yourself.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
I would suggest that fee that we pay the club be reviewed.
That is we planned that for this year. It hasn't been reviewed for a couple of years, but Mike McIntyre is starting on that review right after the first of the year.
And there is a policy in place, George, that we do review it every 2 years. So it is in place, and this is, as Chairman Mary mentioned, we plan to do that. This is the year to do that. While I'm speaking, I know past President Joe's just asked this question about $1,000 giving category. There's any level you want to give category, but I think he specifically means the 1912 fellow. And you can specify that. I had someone call me about that. And the difference is that'll go directly to our endowment. it counts in a percent way of giving to our grant process, but I don't want to confuse anyone. It isn't, when we do a formula to make grants every year, there's an item that it says annual donations just going directly to the campaign. And that wouldn't be counted in that calculation. It'd be counted in a percentage wise of the whole. So you can certainly do that, but I know someone has, I'm calculating the donations as they come in. We have received other $1,000 donations that are not specific to 1912, but all you have to do is let me know which you want.
Excellent. Kathy, thank you very much. I have a question from Dean Neese. Dean, I'm going to bring you up on camera because it's just way more fun that way. You can go ahead with your question.
Okay, I wanted to ask, I know some of us do the $30 per month donation. Does any of that go to our foundation, and what of that goes to the international?
Yeah, so Dean, I'm going to answer that since I'm the one that processes that. And there
I can't hear Kathy.
Yep, sorry, I was muted. I just get a message across my screen. So there are other people on this Zoom meeting who also have a monthly credit card donation set up, such as myself. It just automatically happens. So depending on what you tell me, many people do, I'll just use this as a number, $32 a month, which means that $21 a month is going to our foundation directly. That equates to the $250 a year President's Club level. So if you were to want to do that, it'd just be a recurring payment on your credit card, and it's $21 a month. And then of that 32, $9 goes to Rotary International, $2 goes to polio. So that's the division that's kind of standard among many of our members to make sure that they cover that President's Club level of $250 a year. Does that answer your question, Dean?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Whatever any member wants, that's what we set up.
And for those of us in the old age category, you can also respond via snail mail from Tom's letter that we received about 10 days ago. That's the way I'm doing it, but there's all different ways. And we gratefully accept your donation, however it comes in.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, with that, I'm going to bring President Alex back into the conversation if he has any questions. But phenomenal presentation. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you. I'm just wondering, how long does the campaign go on? Is this through the end of the year? Is it through the end of the Rotary year?
It really goes on through the end of the Rotary year. But
All right.
we are attempting to be in sync with people's traditional annual giving towards year end. But we will, so we're making a push for this December, but we will also come back again in the winter to make sure that we reach the goal that we've set.
Yeah, I certainly think it makes sense to get it in quickly before the end of the year for the taxable calendar year.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much, Mary, Mike, and Brian, for a fantastic and thorough foundation presentation. And thank you, Tom, for championing the cause as this year's campaign chair. And of course, Phil Marissy for the great video. You have always given us your best, Phil. Thank you. Our foundation is very important to us, and one of the main reasons we make a difference. Our members join for service above self, as well as giving back to our community. Next week, December 14th, hard to believe it's our last meeting of the year, but we still will have a holiday program. And then real quickly, I'd like to have Kathy say something about the zoo and our holiday event.
Yeah. So fellow Rotarians, we have the zoo lights this Saturday, December 12th, that we had announced. Member engagement was working very diligently on that. And I know there've been many messages, and so just to clarify, the zoo lights are the 12th. We will not have the use of the Indigo room, so you will just be going on your own. There won't be any cookies and hot chocolate unless you want to stop at one of the vendor booths. So for those of you who ordered tickets, Abby will be sending out your tickets along with a parking pass via email, and you'll get that by end of day tomorrow. They're all numbered individually, so it's a little cumbersome. So we're working on the process for that, and you'll have to print out that ticket and then just show it at the gate. But it's a parking pass and tickets, however many you need, X number of adults, X number of children. So thank you for all those who are attending. I think we have 85, and that includes whoever you signed up for, non-members and Zoo members alike. So thanks very much. Thanks, President Alex.
All right, thank you, Kathy. There are 4 meetings today: community service, peace services, international services, and youth services. So after our meeting, stay on the Zoom meeting, and you'll be placed in the appropriate room for your designated meeting. And now here's past President Chuck Mann. Come on, Chuck, make us laugh.
Before he died, Billy Graham was returning to Charlotte after a speaking engagement. And when his plane arrived, there was a limousine waiting to transport him to his home. As he prepared to get into the limo, he stopped and spoke to the driver. "You know," he said, "I'm 87 years old and I have never driven a limousine. Would you mind if I drove it for a while?" The driver said, "No problem, be my guest." Billy gets into the driver's seat and they head off down the highway. A short distance away sat a rookie state trooper operating his first speed trap. A long black limousine went by him doing 70 in a 55-mile-an-hour zone. The trooper pulled out and easily caught the limo, and he got out of his patrol car to begin the procedure. The young trooper walked up to the driver's door, and when the glass was rolled down, he was surprised to see who was driving. He immediately excused himself and went back to his car and called the supervisor. He told the supervisor, "I know we're supposed to enforce the law, but I also know that important people are given certain courtesies. I need to know what I should do because I have stopped a very important person." The supervisor asked, "Is it the governor?" The young trooper said, "No, he's even more important than that." The supervisor said, "So it's the president?" The young trooper said, "No, he's even more important than that." The supervisor finally asked, "Well then, who is it?" The young trooper said, I think he's Jesus because he's got Billy Graham for a chauffeur." Next week, Kids' Letters to Santa, the annual tradition continues.
Excellent, excellent. Oh, thank you, Chuck. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Make it a great week, and we're adjourned.